So you're a company director, but what exactly does this mean in practical terms? I mean, what are your actual responsibilities and duties as a company director? And how do you know that you are carrying out your role as a company director in a way that's actually compliant with the UK's legislations around running a company? Okay, so this is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. We are going to be talking about some of your key responsibilities as a company director in practical terms, and also how those responsibilities may or may not change if you happen to be a director who has an insolvent company. Hello, if this is your first time here, my name is Tess and I'm a UK qualified accountant, and on this channel I share weekly videos to help fellow entrepreneurs like you start and grow in their businesses. If you ever want to work with me on a one-to-one basis, you can do so using the links in the description box below. Now, your first and probably one of your most important responsibilities as a UK company director is to ensure that your company is always in compliance with statutory filing obligations. Okay, so this basically means that, for instance, if you're running a UK company, you need to make sure that your company annual accounts are prepared and submitted on time. You need to make sure that your tax returns are up to date and they're accurate and they're also filed on time. You also need to make sure that where relevant, your company is registered for VAT and is regularly submitting its VAT returns on a quarterly basis. So this is just one key element of what your responsibility and role entails as a company director. Now, in addition to this, another part of your responsibility as a UK company director is to ensure that you're complying with external legislation requirements. Okay, so this will very much depend on what sort of activities your business operates under, okay, and also what particular industry your business might be operating under. But for the vast majority of UK companies, there are external legislations that they would also need to comply with. For instance, you have employment law, you have health and safety laws and regulations that all UK companies need to comply with, and depending on your particular industry, you would also have some industry specific regulations that you would need to comply with. Employment law, for instance, will be really valid, particularly if you're a UK company that begins to think about employing people. You would actually want to make sure that your company is doing the right thing and following the regulations in relation to employment under the UK employment law. And likewise, if your company is operating within, say, the catering industry, for instance, then you would need to ensure that you are following not only the health and safety laws and regulations, but you are also following any particular industry specific regulations that is for those who operate within the hospitality sector. So these are some examples of some external legislation requirements that you as a UK company director would also need to make sure that your company is following. Now, your third responsibility as a company director is ensuring that your personal income is actually declared. Now, if you fall into the situation where you're a UK company director who happens to be taking a salary out of that UK company, then it is your duty really to ensure that that particular salary is being declared, okay, that income is being declared, and you'd usually do this via a self-assessment tax return. Now, what about insolvency? Now, insolvency in this instance basically means that your company actually now faces the threat of closure due to the fact that it is no longer able to meet its financial obligations. Now, if you're in this scenario and you're a company director, then indeed you might find that your responsibilities in this scenario will change slightly, and that is because you will no longer actually report to the shareholders and members of the company, but rather at this point your priority will be to actually prioritize the interests of the creditors. And one of your key responsibilities at this point is going to be to ensure that the company actually stops trading whilst it's going through this insolvency period. Because if you don't ensure that, then you might actually be personally held liable for any debts that are accrued within this period. So it's very important to understand what your responsibilities as a UK company director is and how to actually fulfill those responsibilities, particularly in a practical sense. As important as it is to understand your responsibilities as a UK company director, it's also equally important for you to understand the key things that you must do to ensure that you are able to protect your UK company. And I've gone through the details of that in this video here. So click here to watch it now.